After losing my daughter, $35 was revealed. Then her absent father surprised us all. Sarah's heart raced as she sifted through the scattered remnants of Emily's life, overwhelmed by memories that crashed like winter waves against her fragile spirit. Each trinket, a faded ticket stub, a worn stuffed animal, pulled her deeper into an abyss of grief that suffocated her with its weight. Just last month, Emily, her vibrant 15-year-old daughter, had been full of dreams, laughter, and untapped potential. Now all Sarah felt was an unbearable emptiness. It was an ache that seeped into her bones, a chapter abruptly ended too soon. Then came the letters. Concealed in the depths of Emily's room, they began with innocent, childlike hopes. A college application, a scrapbook for the town. Sarah's hand trembled as she unfolded the neatly written pages. Yet, with each line, mixed emotions surged within her. How could her daughter, in her brief time, conceal a $35 million trust fund meant for Maplewood? A legacy Emily had intended to give back, even as a girl. In a town that whispered gossip like the chill of winter winds, what did it mean that her daughter wanted to uplift their community, an unfulfilled promise that hung heavy in the air like a ghost? Before she could settle into the thought, another wave crashed over her, a reminder of Tom, Emily's father. His re-emergence was as unexpected as the discovery of the letters. The man who had abandoned them, the man who had robbed Emily of a stable family. Now he wanted a share of the trust fund, and worse yet, a place back in their lives. Anguish twisted inside her. Questions piled up like snowdrifts after a storm. Should she allow him to weave back into the fabric of their shattered world? Or would she be giving away a piece of Emily's dream? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The council meeting was tomorrow, and as Sarah stared at Emily's letters once more, tears blurred her vision. She could feel the townsfolk's anticipation pulling at her like the tide. Some ready to support her initiative, others poised to judge her choices. Did they even understand the burden she carried? Each letter was a testament to Emily's aspirations, yet sat heavily next to memories of Tom's betrayal. She shook her head, trying to think clearly over the sound of her own racing thoughts. Would honoring Emily's wishes mean extending an olive branch to the man who hurt them both? The very thought clawed at her insides, a mix of resentment and hope that intertwined. Could she trust Tom, or would history haunt her like a shadow? With trembling fingers, Sarah clutched the letters in a tight fist. Forgiveness, she mused, felt like a cruel illusion. What if opening her heart to Tom meant risking everything? Her daughter's legacy and her own healing. It was a crossroads where the past threatened to swallow her whole, and she stood hesitating, the weight of a life half-lived pressing down, while the air grew colder around her. Tomorrow, she would face the town, face Tom, and face herself. The journey that lay ahead loomed like a dark specter, and Sarah was terrified to take the first step. Would she unfurl the dreams their daughter had left behind, or would she be left battling the ghosts of their shared past? As the dawn broke, a pale light crept through the window, illuminating Sarah's cluttered living room. The letters lay scattered atop the coffee table, each one a silent soldier in her mental battle. Today was not just another day. It was the day she would confront the loss of her daughter, the trust, and Tom, all remnants of a life that felt foreign now. The drive to the council meeting felt interminable. Each turn of the wheel echoed an unresolved conflict, her mind clamoring for clarity amid the surrounding chaos. Emily's laughter echoed in her head like a haunting melody, reminding her of the vibrant young woman she would never see blossom into adulthood. She clenched the steering wheel, feeling both anchored and adrift in a sea of conflicting emotions. When Sarah arrived at the town hall, the air was thick with anticipation. She spotted familiar faces, their expressions a mixture of concern and curiosity. Would they see the mourning mother before them, or simply a facilitator of Emily's yet-to-unfold legacy? The push and pull of these expectations tightened around her like a vice, heightening her anxiety. She entered the conference room, her heart pounding as she found her place at the podium. The council members, seated with pens poised over papers, awaited her words. Could she give the speech her daughter would have wanted? The weight of the trust fund was not only financial. It represented dreams, aspirations, and the thread that connected Emily to this very community. With trembling hands, Sarah unrolled the first letter, a simple declaration of hope about her college dreams from a young girl who believed she could change the world. In that moment, Sarah's voice trembled, but found strength. This wasn't just about money. It was about honoring her daughter's ambition. "I stand here today not only as a grieving mother, but as an advocate for my daughter's vision," she began. Emily believed in the power of community. She wanted to uplift Maplewood and believe in its potential for greatness. She saw beauty where many saw ordinary, and it was her wish to leave a legacy. The crowd listened intently as she wove Emily's dreams into a vision for the town. Still, beneath her bravado lay a simmering resentment towards Tom. Every articulate sentence was counterbalanced by whispers of betrayal and abandonment. How could she execute Emily's wishes alongside the man who had abandoned them? The tension in the room grew palpable as she finished, her vulnerability bared like raw skin. There was a moment's pause before someone from the back of the room raised a hand. "What if we invite Tom to be part of this?" the voice challenged. A wave of uncomfortable murmurs rippled through the attendees. Sarah's heart sank. The shadows of Tom loomed larger once more. She felt her resolve falter, the sanctuary of Emily's dreams threatened by a past she thought she'd left behind. I need time to consider that," she managed, her voice barely above a whisper. The weight of the decision settled heavily on her shoulders. As she left the council meeting, Sarah was besieged by doubt. She had spoken, but at what cost? Would she truly be able to unite Emily's legacy with the man who had hurt them? One thing was clear. The path ahead was fraught with uncertainty, and the ghosts of her past were not going to release her without a fight. As she navigated the emotionally charged terrain back home, a shiver of realization washed over her. She would need to confront Tom, not only to protect Emily's legacy, but to reclaim her own narrative. The time had come to face the ghosts and make a choice that would ultimately define her journey forward. Would she allow the past to dictate her future, or would she seize the reins of her own story for the first time? The house felt suffocating as Sarah stepped through the door, the weight of her thoughts pressing heavily against her chest. The walls, once a refuge, now seemed to echo the silence of her lost conversations with Emily. Each photograph that adorned the shelves felt like a reminder of what she had lost and what, in her determination, she sought to reclaim. As she moved through the living room, she noticed the letters still strewn about the coffee table. They beckoned her, like unwelcome reminders of the meeting's outcome. For every ounce of resolve she had felt in sharing Emily's dreams, doubt crept back in like an uninvited guest. Confronting Tom was no longer just a distant thought. It was an unavoidable obligation. "I can't allow him to dictate her legacy," she muttered under her breath, her fist clenched tightly. But deep down, she knew that the confrontation would not simply be about Emily or the money. It would delve into the very heart of their fractured history, and uncertainty still clouded her judgment. The next day brought an unexpected chill. Sarah made her way to the living room, determined to find courage. But doubt loomed larger than before. She sat at the edge of the couch, arms wrapped tightly around herself as she replayed every moment from the council meeting. The thought of Tom being part of Emily's trust was not merely about collaboration. It was a gateway to the past that she wasn't sure she was ready to face. While lost in thought, she remembered a hidden strength buried deep within her, a sharpness she had honed through years of adversity. She pulled out a notepad and began writing out key points for her impending conversation with Tom. Clarity began to form as the words flowed. "You have to focus on Emily," she whispered to herself, her mind racing through memories of their shared moments. Each note on the page transformed into a lifeline, reminding her of the ambition they had nurtured together. She could reclaim Emily's narrative. This was not Tom's story to tell. Organizing her thoughts offered her an unexpected surge of confidence. After laying down the points, she practiced speaking them aloud, her reflection staring back from the living room window. "You will stand your ground," she told herself firmly. Her heart raced with each phrase, feeling a mix of fear and determination. But the hardest part remained. She had to set the meeting, to confront the man who had walked away, leaving her to shoulder a loss too great for one person to bear. She opened her laptop, the cold screen glowing in front of her, and typed out an email to Tom, her fingers hovering precariously over the keys as she fought the instinct to back out. As she pressed send, an adrenaline rush flooded her system, releasing a torrent of emotions. Fear, apprehension, and an ember of courage flickered within her. She had taken a step toward her own narrative. But would that be enough? The days crept by slowly, each moment stretching into eternity as she waited for his reply. Finally, on the fourth day, a message arrived, a simple acknowledgement, confirming he'd meet her. Just seeing his name sent her mind spiraling into the depths of unresolved anger and sadness. Yet with the bitterness came clarity. She wouldn't allow resentment to cloud her judgment anymore. As she prepared for the meeting, Sarah felt a mix of anticipation and dread. This encounter would lay bare not just her emotions, but her resolve. She was on the precipice of reclaiming her past. But could she confront the man who haunted her thoughts? "Tomorrow is the day," she said aloud, bolstering her spirit with every word. "It's time to put myself first." As she lay in bed that night, sleep eluded her. Echoes of uncertainty ricocheted through her mind. Had she truly prepared for what lay ahead? Would this confrontation bring healing or further unravel the fragile threads of her sanity? With dawn looming, the unfathomable awaited her. A confrontation that might redefine not only her connection to Emily's legacy, but her very identity. Would she seize this moment, or allow history to pull her under once again? The sun broke through the clouds, bathing the world in hues that felt both new and ominous. Sarah's heart raced as she prepared for the meeting, the minute hand on her clock ticking down to the confrontation that loomed ahead. Each tick echoed the words she had rehearsed, but they seemed to dissipate in the air, replaced by a growing doubt. What if he used her vulnerability against her? What if he was just as cold and detached as she remembered? Dressed in a tailored blazer that once belonged to Emily, she felt the fabric against her skin, an anchor to the vision of the future they had shared. She could still detect the faint scent of Emily's perfume, a bittersweet reminder of love mingled with loss. The fabric was more than just clothing. It was a shield she could hide behind, a vivid reminder that she was doing this not just for herself, but for Emily as well. She reached for her notebook one last time, her fingers brushing over the lines where she had outlined her points. They were her lifeline, but as she flipped through, uncertainty struck like a lightning bolt. Was this enough? In her heart, a small voice whispered that her true strength lay not solely in the words prepared, but in the very act of standing in front of Tom. She had to trust herself to navigate whatever storm might arise. As she stepped out of her home, the fresh air filled her lungs with a mix of anxiety and determination. She made her way to the cafe where she had asked Tom to meet. It was a neutral ground, but she felt far from neutral. The thought that this establishment could witness the unraveling of years of pain made her spine straighten. Upon arrival, she spotted him sitting by the window, engrossed in his phone. The sight grated on her nerves, the casualness of his posture mocking everything she had endured. Taking a deep breath, she approached, trying to steady her pulse as her heart raced louder. "Tom," she said coolly, her voice steadier than she felt. He looked up, surprise flickering in his eyes before settling into a mask of indifference. "Sarah," he replied, setting his phone down with a subtle, dismissive smile. "Thanks for meeting. Let's not waste any time. This is about Emily," she said, cutting straight to the heart of the matter. The tension began to crackle between them, an electric reminder of their shared history wrapped in conflict. "Right. Her trust and the future," he said, feigning interest, though it reeked of insincerity. "I'm here to listen." The words clawed at the back of her throat, and she felt herself shifting, almost instinctively bracing for impact. "Listen. Or dictate," she challenged, her tone sharper than she intended. It hung in the air, a challenge he must accept. Deep inside her, a part of her relished the confrontation, a primal urge to reclaim what Emily would have wanted. "Both," he replied casually, his eyes narrowing. "You seem unaware that this is bigger than just your feelings." Her hands clenched into fists, but instead of rising to anger, a calm conviction began to wash over her. He had underestimated her. This was her chance to not only reclaim Emily's legacy, but her own agency. The doubt that had plagued her began to melt away. Emily's legacy is worth protecting, and if you want a say in it, you'll have to respect her vision, she asserted, her voice unwavering yet laced with an intensity that filled the space between them. The corners of his mouth twitched in surprise. This was not the response he had anticipated. She saw a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes for the first time, and it invigorated her. As they continued to exchange words, a realization dawned on Sarah. Successfully confronting Tom was the first step in embracing her new role, not just as guardian of Emily's legacy, but as a formidable force in a narrative that had once felt entirely out of her control. But before she could relish the newfound power surging within her, a shadow of doubt crept back. What would this confrontation really cost her? Could she hold her ground in the battles yet to come? "Are you really ready for this?" Tom finally asked, a hint of menace creeping into his voice. Each word dripped with the weight of unspoken threats and unfulfilled promises. This was just the beginning. She had no way of knowing how far she would need to go to protect the legacy that meant everything to her. "Just watch me," she replied, her heart pounding. The real challenge was now dawning on her. Could she navigate the minefields of their past to ensure Emily's vision endured? And as they continued to stare each other down, she couldn't help but wonder, what would the fight truly reveal about her own strength? And what was Tom still hiding? The cafe buzzed around her, but Sarah's focus narrowed to the intensity of her confrontation with Tom. As his eyes glared back at her, a tempest of emotions swirled within her: trepidation, defiance, and a flicker of anticipation for what was to come. She could feel the stakes rising, a suffocating pressure that both terrified and invigorated her. "Protecting Emily's vision means holding you accountable," she declared, unwavering. There was a newfound clarity in her voice, an unexpected surge that surprised even her. She couldn't only protect Emily's legacy, she now had the distinct obligation to assert her own power and rights in the narrative that had been so long overshadowed by Tom's influence. Tom smirked, dismissing her renewed confidence with a wave of his hand. "You really think you can stand against me, Sarah? This isn't just about her anymore." His words hit hard. They were intended to mock her incapacity, but instead, they ignited a fire within. She was no longer just Emily's closest friend. She had become her advocate, channeling the essence of their bond into a fight that was personal. "And why should it remain about you?" she countered, leaning forward with intensity. "I refuse to let your perspective taint what Emily built." For the first time, she could see the crack in his armor. The disdainful sneer faltered ever so slightly, exposing a vulnerability she intended to exploit. With every word she spoke, she was stripping away the facade he wore like a shield. But the internal battle raged on. With each aggressive statement exchanged, Sarah battled the remnants of her doubt. Could she match his calculated defiance with her burgeoning confidence? Each point she made echoed with the resolve built in the wake of her loss. Emily would never have stood for this. As the hour unfolded, Sarah found herself dissecting every one of Tom's evasions, questioning not just his claims, but the legitimacy of his actions since Emily's passing. Moments stretched as she grappled with how far she could push. Each time Tom shifted the goalposts, each subtle threat masked as charm, she tightened her grip on the direction she intended to steer the conversation. Suddenly, a revelation crystallized in her mind. Emily had left behind more than just memories. She had crafted a legacy that could withstand the reckoning of her estranged father. With files stacked away and agreements yet to be honored, the vision shared was a lifeline, and Sarah now stood at the helm. "What about the trust? What has it taught you about responsibility?" Sarah posed, propelled by a mixture of challenge and genuine inquiry, a tactic designed to keep him off balance. "Or is it just the money you care about?" Tom shifted in his seat, the tension palpable. "You're treading on dangerous ground," he warned. But the warning sounded less like a threat and more like a plea. He had underestimated the vitality she now commanded. Resolutely, Sarah took another breath, infusing her words with gravity. "This isn't about fear or threats, Tom. It's about establishing a legacy of truth. Emily left you a part of this, and instead of running from it, you should honor her." Doubt washed over Sarah again, taunting her with the uncertainty of his next move. She was challenging not just Tom, but also the silence she had carried for so long. The fact that his mere presence would overshadow her voice gnawed at her, yet had only fueled her resolve. A silence hung between them, charged with past grievances and promises broken. The air felt electric, a palpable shift in the paradigm of their relationship as he now faced an unexpected adversary, an empowered Sarah. "What if I don't want that?" he finally declared, his bravado faltering as uncertainty danced in his eyes. "Then you'll miss the chance to honor her memory," Sarah replied, stealing her gaze. She now understood that the true battle was not just with Tom, but with the echoes of grief and doubt that surfed her consciousness. As she watched Tom grapple with her assertion, a part of her surged with conviction. She had taken the first step in reclaiming control. But what she hadn't anticipated was the gravity of the choices awaiting her, intricately entwined with her emotional landscape. Would she be ready to face the full implications of what was unfolding? The possibility of alliances formed in unexpected ways loomed just out of reach, and as their meeting drew to a close, the weight of looming decisions felt both thrilling and terrifying. What unforeseen choices lay waiting at the end of this confrontation? The moment the cafe's door swung shut behind Tom, Sarah felt the weight of silence envelop her like a shroud, suffocating yet liberating. She exhaled deeply, releasing not just the air but the residual tension that had wound itself tightly around her. But beneath that initial sense of relief lingered a torrent of unresolved emotions. This encounter had ignited a fire within her, but it also left her grappling with the uncertainty of what to do next. With determination shaping her next steps, Sarah envisioned the files tucked away in Emily's old desk. The trust that held the seeds of Emily's legacy was not merely a financial instrument. It was a blueprint for the future. She envisioned Emily's ideals, her dreams, the very essence of her spirit captured in those papers. This was her chance to make those dreams a reality, to fight not only for the memory of her friend, but also for the unsteady ground she now stood upon. Navigating the aftermath of her meeting with Tom, Sarah knew she needed to fortify her position. She pulled out her phone and began drafting an email to the attorney who had overseen Emily's affairs. Questions swirled feverishly in her mind. What did Emily want for the trust? How could she enforce it amidst Tom's interference? Clarity mixed with uncertainty as she began to type. As her fingers danced across the screen, she recalled the days spent in the sunlit garden of their childhood home, where Emily shared her hopes of transformation and community impact. Those dreams had always seemed bigger than the two of them. Now, those visions lay dormant, tethered to the bureaucracies of legality and power, tools Sarah could wield. Before she could second-guess herself, Sarah hit send. The crickets in her brain quieted as she embraced the idea that she was no longer just an advocate for Emily's legacy. She was a contender for her own. With her heart racing, Sarah stood up, the coffee shop's ambient hum fading into white noise. She needed space, an escape to gather her thoughts. Walking into the park across the street, she inhaled the fresh air, invigorated by the possibility that lay ahead. The world around her thrummed with life. Dog walkers, children playing, joggers passing by. This was the setting in which she would revive the spirit of Emily, bringing forth the projects both had imagined together. Her mind raced through the fragmented pieces of her plans. Each swing of the pendulum between grief and purpose led her to the realization that her involvement could reshape everything they had shared and envisioned. The community center they had dreamed of, bringing art and education to underprivileged neighborhoods, could become a lived reality instead of a bittersweet memory. Just as she felt the rush of determination building, her phone buzzed. It was a reply from the attorney. An attachment popped up, a detailed portfolio of the trust's stipulations and what actions could be taken against Tom's influence. Sarah felt a wave of unfurling excitement. This was the roadmap she required, a clear direction amid the chaos. But layered within that excitement was an impending fear. Would Tom retaliate? Would he fight back in ways she couldn't predict? The thought sent a jolt through her. Yet amidst the fear, she recognized it as a signpost of the path she was now on. The battle lines were drawn, and she needed to prepare, intellectually and emotionally. As the sun dipped below the horizon, shadows crept across the park, mirroring the complexities swirling within her. Sarah understood that now was not just about claiming a legacy for Emily. It was about crafting her own identity, asserting her determination in a rich tapestry woven with struggle and resilience. Pulling herself from her thoughts, resolve swelled in her chest. She knew she had to resist the temptation to act hastily. She needed a strategy, an approach that would not only confront Tom, but also galvanize those who believed in Emily's vision. With renewed focus, Sarah took a deep breath, centering her mind on the upcoming challenges. So many critical choices stood before her, and with each decision, the tribute to Emily's dreams only expanded. It was time to form alliances, to gather her resources, and to confront the unpredictable path ahead. Standing at the intersection of action and hesitation, Sarah felt an overwhelming urge to reach out to those who shared Emily's vision. Contacts, collaborators, anyone willing to stand beside her in this fight. But then the thought struck her. What if Tom wasn't the only adversary she would face? With the impending uncertainties echoing in her mind, she began to plan. The foundations of a coalition were forming, but trust could be complex, especially when emotions ran high. As she paused to sip her coffee, a chilling realization crystallized in her thoughts. Not everyone honored the dead, and the battle ahead might tug at more than just Emily's legacy. It could unravel her own. What fresh conflicts and revelations awaited her as she embarked upon this uncharted territory of advocacy and leadership? The morning sun streamed through Sarah's window, its warmth contrasting sharply with the chill of anticipation that gripped her heart. In that moment of quiet solitude, she focused on the enormity of her responsibilities. The attorney's email remained open on her laptop, the weight of Emily's trust pressing heavily on her shoulders. This was no longer merely about preserving a legacy. It was about defining her own path amid the shadows left in Emily's absence. Sarah's mind fluttered with questions as she leaned over her desk, eager to delve into the complex stipulations laid out before her. Each point felt like a stepping stone into a world where ambition and hesitation coexisted. It was clear. She had to understand every nuance to counter Tom's influence effectively. One mention of Emily's dream projects sent a flicker of hope through her veins. Empowered by that thought, Sarah resolved to take meticulous notes, committing each detail to memory while brewing practical strategies for her next steps. As she highlighted essential elements in the trust, she began mapping out her strategy like a general preparing for battle. Meetings with the attorney were necessary. A simple phone call could reinforce her understanding, But she also needed allies, people with resources, knowledge, and unwavering commitment that matched her own. The list in her head grew as some familiar names surfaced, scattered throughout the years shared with Emily. Nonprofit leaders, passionate educators, even a few artists working through their own struggles. Before she could spiral into inaction spurred by anxiety, Sarah forced herself to reach for a notepad. First, gather her allies. Second, prepare for possible confrontations. And third, construct a fortress of resilience around her emotions. Each bullet point represented a commitment not just to Emily's dreams, but a declaration of her own purpose and identity. Hours passed in a blur of concentrated effort, and a gnawing sense of unease began to creep back in. Had she overlooked anything crucial? What ramifications would arise if Tom caught wind of her newly forged plans? Would he seek to undermine her in ways she wasn't prepared for? With each ticking moment, doubt lingered, threatening to strike at her growing resolve. Perhaps building bridges required sacrificing some delicate reputations. Navigating those waters promised to be perilous. As the day waned, Sarah left her apartment, embarking on an impromptu visit to her old haunts, hoping familiarity would soothe her fraying nerves. Walking through the quiet streets brought her to the gallery Emily had once dreamed of turning into a vibrant art space, a sobering reminder of the challenges ahead. The once lively spot now sat dormant, whispering echoes of what could have been. She recalled Emily's laughter as they sketched plans on napkins over coffee in this very cafe. Now, that laughter was replaced by the stark reality of unfinished dreams. The ache in her chest crystallized her mission. If she was going to advocate for Emily's legacy, she must do more than just gather a team. She had to learn the intricacies of persuasion and negotiation. The art world possessed a unique rhythm that thrived on both vulnerability and strength, qualities Sarah needed to embody in her quest. In the distance, voices drew her attention, a conversation bubbling with passion and ambition. Approaching, she found a group of artists discussing their own aspirations and frustrations, the world of advocacy converging with personal hope. A pang of inspiration washed over her. They were potential allies, each grappling with their own battles, yet echoing the very fight she had undertaken for Emily. The synergy pulsed around her, igniting a resolve to step forward and engage. Taking a deep breath, Sarah pivoted to join the discussion, her mind racing with thoughts of collaboration intertwined with her need for support. She knew that this could be her opening, a chance to build important connections, and perhaps soothe her own uncertainties. But as she stepped closer, a voice rose above the others with a tone sharp enough to slice through the optimism in the air. But we can't trust just anyone, can we? Not everyone is in it for the right reasons. The tension lingered, palpable and heavy, grasping at Sarah's resolve. Who among this crowd would represent the threat of betrayal? As she absorbed the moment, her stomach knotted. There were layers beneath what she had felt. Alliances could be fragile, and motivations often obscured. Trust, she realized, wouldn't come easily. Heart pounding in time with her swirling thoughts, Sarah acknowledged that the time had come to face vulnerability head-on. She must choose carefully whom she aligned with, lest she find herself ensnared in tangled loyalties. What alliances could she forge? And how would she discern friend from potential foe as she ventured deeper into this world? Sarah's pulse quickened as she navigated the crowded gallery space, her senses sharpened by the palpable tension that had crisscrossed through their conversation. The artist's words hung in the air like smoke, clouding her thoughts with uncertainty. Trust, an unconsciously woven thread in collaboration, now felt like a looming barrier. She took a deep breath, letting the scent of paint and varnish blend with the fresh coffee that wafted from the cafe corner. For a fleeting moment, she remembered Emily's laughter, the way she could effortlessly bridge divides with authenticity. How had she mastered that magic? A fellow artist gestured animatedly, prompting Sarah to focus again. If she was to learn from these encounters, she needed to absorb both the passion and the wariness in their voices. This was her chance to cultivate relationships that could reinforce her mission. With determined clarity, She assessed the group, not just striving artists, but perhaps allies who had once shared Emily's vision. Forcing herself to step forward, Sarah engaged in the conversation, probing deeper into shared aspirations and frustrations. She practiced her listening, not merely responding, but genuinely assimilating the nuances of their experiences. As discussions flowed, she could feel herself relaxing, understanding the delicate balance between vulnerability and strength. When a tall artist with piercing blue eyes leaned in and challenged her directly, she felt a spark of opportunity. "What exactly are you trying to achieve, and how do we know you'll remain true to that vision?" he asked, skepticism layered in his tone. Instead of faltering, she leaned into the question, knowing this was her moment to convey her unwavering commitment to Emily's legacy. "I aim to turn her dreams into reality, to advocate for our shared vision, a space for creativity to thrive, unhindered by corporate interests. I understand the trust issues this community has faced, but I assure you, my loyalty lies not only with these projects, but with the heart of what Emily envisioned," she replied, feeling more resolute with each word. The eyes in the crowd slowly shifted, some nodding cautiously, others still skeptical, but Sarah could feel a tentative bridge form. She realized that her honest dedication resonated with their aspirations, mirroring their struggles. Her thoughts drifted back to the notepad filled with her original strategy. Gathering allies? Yes. But more than that, they were partners in a burgeoning mission, for whom she must foster trust and transparency. Each connection would be a strategic commitment, a shared journey toward a collective goal that had begun with Emily's dreams. Later that evening, filled with a mix of hope and apprehension, she left the gallery. The weight of her responsibilities still heavy, but now accompanied by a flicker of resolve. She needed to build on this engagement. However fragile, these new relationships felt promising. Yet doubts lingered, whispers that questioned her capacity to lead while navigating the motives behind her allies' intentions. As she prepared for bed, her laptop still illuminated in the dim light, she began drafting an outline for her next steps. Even as determination battled doubt, clarity emerged. She would approach the collective with a structured vision, a manifesto of sorts that laid out her commitments. But a sudden thought pricked at her. The haunting realization that some adversities, like the looming threat of Tom, were still bigger than any personal struggle or alliance. How would she approach him? A direct confrontation felt imminent, and the multitude of unknowns sent a shiver down her spine. What strategy could she employ to counter him, all while keeping her burgeoning support intact? The puzzle began to unfold, yet with every piece she turned over, the threat of betrayal still loomed large. The questions turned over in her mind like an unwanted lullaby. How to confront her past while embracing the uncertain future. The moment of confrontation was drawing near, and with it, the possibility of profound change or devastating loss. Would she find the necessary strength, or would she drown in the shadows that threatened to consume her? As dawn broke the next morning, Sarah sat at her kitchen table, the light streaming through the window sharp against her fragile resolve. The outline she had begun drafting last night felt almost punishingly structured, a stark contrast to the emotional turmoil that brewed within her. How could she possibly encapsulate a vision so intricate in bolded headings and bullet points? The weight of responsibility pressed down on her chest, making it hard to breathe. She grabbed her coffee and glanced at her notebook, a chaotic mix of ideas and half-formed sentiments jotted down on crumpled pages. Turning her gaze toward the window, she noticed birds flitting about, each distinctly purposeful in its movement. They reminded her of the connections she had begun to foster, the tentative relationships that now hung in delicate balance. It was time to transform her feelings into action. Taking a deep breath, she drafted her manifesto with renewed focus. She thought about the importance of transparency, of sharing both her vision and her vulnerabilities. The manifesto wasn't merely an outline. It was a promise, a representation of her commitment to Emily's legacy and the collective dreams of those she sought to bring together. She envisioned its impact, an echo of trust and authenticity that would reverberate through her community. At that moment, she felt empowered. Yet, as she meticulously constructed her words, the specter of Tom loomed in her mind. How would she maintain her focus when the very foundation of her undertaking might crumble with one misplaced word or uncalculated move against him? A twinge of doubt crept in, taunting her. Was this a naive endeavor, born from grief? In a moment of impulsiveness, she decided to reach out to the one person who might help her navigate this minefield. Vanessa, an old friend who had once faced her own battles in the art world, characterized by whispers of disloyalty and betrayal. Vanessa had a reputation for being cunning and strategic, shaping her narrative amidst chaos. Perhaps she had insights that could support Sarah's cause and provide a solid defense against Tom. After pacing the kitchen, Sarah pulled her phone from her pocket and typed out a text, carefully maintaining a cool composure as she invited Vanessa for coffee. The tap of her fingers on the screen felt like an awakening, a conscious decision to reclaim her narrative through partnership. She sent the message and felt a surge of anticipation mixed with anxiety. Just as she finished her coffee and began to tackle the revisions in her manifesto, her phone buzzed, halting her thoughts. Vanessa agreed to meet. The swell of hope reminded her that while the path ahead was fraught with uncertainty, she was not a solo artist in this evolving masterpiece. The hours passed, and as she prepared for her meeting, anxiety began to creep back in, murmuring the doubts she had silenced just moments before. She steadied herself before the mirror, recalling Emily's unwavering spirit, the way she would absorb chaos and channel it into creativity. "Embrace the uncertainty," she whispered to her reflection, trying to channel Emily's wisdom. Yet, conflict bubbled beneath, a nagging question. How would she balance the delicate art of persuasion with the urgency to build defenses against Tom, who would surely retaliate? As Sarah arrived at the cafe, she strapped herself into the unfolding narrative, ready to share her faith in the art community and seek wisdom from a friend she once admired. The mere possibility of what Vanessa might contribute filled her with cautious optimism. But she knew she couldn't ignore the loose threads that still dangled from her plans, especially when it came to confronting Tom. And yet, the cafe doors swung open, revealing the very person she needed, yet a stark reminder of the unpredictable world she was trying to navigate. Would she find strength in the collaboration she sought? Or would the past bury her aspirations once again? The meeting of two dynamic forces was about to begin, and Sarah was poised, caught in the tide of potential upheaval. Would their partnership yield the breakthroughs she hoped for, or would it unravel in the face of deeper conflicts? The answers felt dangerously close, just as the threat of Tom loomed larger than ever. With the caffeinated aroma enveloping her, Sarah settled into a booth, her heart racing with the adrenaline of possibilities. Vanessa arrived, her presence commanding and vibrant, and for a moment, Sarah felt the weight of their past friendship bridge the gap overshadowed by time and distance. As Vanessa slid into the seat across from her, the pulse of excitement moderated Sarah's anxiety. "Hey, Sarah, it's been ages," Vanessa exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. "What's going on?" Sarah inhaled deeply, steeling her nerves. "It's a lot. I need your help navigating a situation that's become increasingly complicated," she began, her voice firm but steady. She could feel the tremor of vulnerability in her words. But this was different. This was not merely about asking for help. It was about exchanging wisdom and fortitude. As she recounted the unfolding drama, the discovery of Emily's trust, Tom's re-emergence, and her aspirations to fulfill Emily's vision, the stories intertwined with urgency and raw emotion. With each detail unveiled, Sarah felt the past converge with the present in a tapestry of shared experiences and aspirations. Vanessa nodded thoughtfully, her expression shifting from curiosity to intensity. "What specifically do you need from me?" she asked, her strategic mind already whirring. "We need to position you in a way that counters him without losing traction on your goals. I need to build alliances, cultivate the artists who believed in Emily, and push back against Tom's claims. If we can get the community rallying behind this vision, Maybe we could solidify our stance. Sarah felt a surge of conviction. This was more than just reclaiming Emily's dreams. It was about fortifying her own sense of purpose. Exactly, Vanessa replied, her enthusiasm contagious. Let's focus on crafting a narrative that resonates with the town and leverages the emotional weight of Emily's trust. We can hold an event, showcase her vision, perhaps integrate a community art project that gets everyone involved. Inspired by Vanessa's ideas, Sarah began to see the contours of a plan take shape. Embracing the notion of synergy, they furiously brainstormed ways to engage and galvanize support. They spoke of mixing art and activism, a canvas that would serve as the public heart for Emily's legacy. Yet lingering in the back of her mind was the specter of Tom. She knew his agenda wouldn't just crumble under community support. He thrived on chaos, and she needed a deeper strategy if she was to confront his influence. "How do we manage Tom?" she asked, as the conversation shifted. "It feels like he's lurking around every corner, waiting to exploit any weakness in my plans." Vanessa leaned back, her brow furrowing in contemplation. "You need to show strength, publicly and privately. Document everything regarding the trust fund and your intentions. Transparency will build your credibility, plus shield you against any narrative he might spin." As Sarah absorbed her friend's tactical wisdom, a light of determination ignited within her. Each suggestion Vanessa made transformed into action points, tangible ways to reclaim her reality. She envisioned herself rallying grassroots support, a coalition of artists demanding a future free of past grievances. With the cafe bustling around them, Sarah felt invigorated as they fleshed out the details into actionable steps. This partnership wasn't just invaluable, it represented a new era of collaboration and trust. They exchanged contact information, planning to initiate a newsletter that would keep the community informed about upcoming projects and events, ensuring that Emily's aspirations remained at the forefront. Leaving the cafe, Sarah felt the transformational energy of possibility surge through her. She envisioned the community center, bustling with activity and inspiration, a legacy that transcended her grief. But, amid her assertive thoughts, Tom's shadow crept back into her mind. Would he attempt to undermine her progress? How would she combat his attempts to hijack Emily's narrative? Sarah took a deep breath, grounding herself. She was not just positioned to defend against Tom. She was equipped to propel forward the dreams they had crafted together. Clarity washed over her as she recognized the importance of keeping her focus chiefly on Emily's legacy, despite the chaos that might ensue. Seeing this as the crux of her journey, Sarah outlined a multifaceted strategy. First, emphasize community engagement. Second, gather momentum to host the promised event. And third, prepare for potential confrontation with Tom, ready for his inevitable disruption. That evening, as she returned to her desk, Sarah composed an email to the gallery, proposing a partnership to showcase not just Emily's art, but also the dreams they shared. Each typed word felt like reclaiming a fragment of herself, moving beyond fear into self-empowerment. The culmination of her efforts would culminate in a powerful force, one that would amplify Emily's vision throughout Maplewood. Just like those birds outside, she would soar, overcoming adversities with resilience, crafted not just from grief, but from love for her daughter's indefatigable spirit. The following days flew by in a whirlwind of meetings, collaboration efforts, and mobilizing her community. The coffee shop transformed from a place of mere respite into a war room, where plans crystallized and strategies were woven into a cohesive call to action. Then, as anticipated, Tom reappeared at her door, his presence more daunting than ever. Yet this time she stood unwavering, ready to assert her narrative. Sarah barely blinked as she encountered him, the initial trepidation melting into an exhilarating wave of courage. "We need to talk about Emily's legacy," she stated, her voice as steady as granite. Tom's smirk ignited a fire within her. This was her journey now, unshackled from the shadows of the past. "How do you expect to keep control over what was left?" he challenged, eyes narrowing with expectation. "I don't expect, this is a promise," she responded resolutely, the remnants of her journey culminating in the strength of her declaration. Her trust is about honesty, resilience, and we will honor that, together, whether you agree or not. Tom met her gaze, surprise flickering across his face. The opponent she envisioned was suddenly revealed, navigating the convergence of past and future, armed with newfound strength. But she had already chosen the course, deftly defining her presence in fractured alliances and navigating the complexities that lay ahead. Sarah felt the exhilaration of reclaiming her narrative. Whether it led to conflict or collaboration, she was prepared to fight for Emily's legacy and assert her own truth. Tomorrow, she would unveil a future once cloaked in uncertainty. And once again, she was ready to embrace the challenges to come. What revelations awaited her when the community witnessed their united front, and how far would she go to protect the beautiful future they envisioned together? Only time would tell, but Sarah was resolute. This moment was just the beginning. Now it was time to turn the page, gathering courage from her failures and reinforcing the narrative she was determined to shape. The battle for Emily's legacy was far from over, but Sarah stood strong in her resolve, fortified by friends, the memory of her daughter, and the hope of what was to come. She could conquer this. Her journey was hers alone. Now was the moment to act, and she would no longer hesitate. This was merely the beginning. The fight was starting, and nothing, and no one, would keep her from achieving her vision. Make sure to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories of overcoming adversity. You need to subscribe now, and leave a like now to feed the algorithm. It truly makes a difference. Don't wait. Even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Comment your reactions and theories about Sarah's journey and what comes next. Let's keep this momentum going.